Hey guys, hope you're doing okay wherever quarantine has you locked down. In this weird time, I'm really trying to kind of reinvent what my channel looks like, some of the content I'm going to be creating, and without any new disc golf tournaments or action really to talk about, I'm going back on the years past and focusing on a few rounds that kind of went under the radar in the grand scheme of things. One of the first rounds that jumped out to me was Kevin Jones back at the 2019 Portland Open. It may be one of the first tournaments we have back in the season. Fingers crossed we can we can get going. But I sat down with Kevin to chat a little bit about what it was like during that round, where your headspace is when you're gone one of the best heaters of your life. He did end up shooting 15 under par, and that is on an adjusted course compared to the Worlds that was played in 2014. Kind of like this year Waco going down a few pars. Similar vibe out at Blue Lake. So 15 down, very well could have been 17 down. One of the best rounds I've ever seen, and one of the most focused I've ever seen at disc golfers, or a disc golfer. So without further ado, here is Kevin Jones talking about that performance and a little bit more. So, Kevin, glad that you came on. I'd like to chat a little bit with you about the 2019 Portland Open. One of my favorite events that we had last year. I was looking forward to it so much for this year. Hopefully we can get it in. But last year featured maybe the best performance I've ever personally seen on the disc golf course. Can you think back and remember anything at all about that second round, 1094 rated, 15 down?
Yeah, so I mean, what are we talking? This is about 6 months ago.
Nearly a year at this point.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Actually, there's been a bunch of rounds since then. But I would never forget that. It's easily my highest rated round of all time. I was in so much of the zone that I've never really been in that much of the zone before. It's like an adrenaline rush that you don't even really feel until you're off the last hole, or at least in my case, hole 17 probably is when I started feeling it. But still, super incredible feeling to be able to just put all this energy into every shot and every putt and execute it.
Yeah, one of the coolest things about that course is, it has OB everywhere, right? Nearly every hole there's OB, left, right, long, short. And none of the shots though are all that challenging per se. You know what I mean? Like the par fours are not extremely distance oriented. They're not super technical, but it is about maintaining that focus for an entire 3.5 hour round. Was that day just different for you? Do you feel like there was some magical juju in the air? How were you able to maintain that laser focus for most of the entire round?
Well, that day I was actually specifically like a little angry. I was like not in a good mood, whether it was at my disc golf or at something else in the world. I was absolutely channeling anger and putting it into my putts, and mostly my putts, but the drives as well.
Yeah, and I think something that might have had to do with that anger is during round one was maybe the sloppiest round we played all year. The field during the morning got a pretty, calm and chill weather, but in the afternoon, a lot of those feature cards that you were fortunate enough to be on got absolutely dumped with rain. You finish at 1 under in 38th place after the first round. Do you feel like that was part of what maybe made you a little angry?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Coming off of that and feeling like he kind of got robbed. It happens in disc golf a lot, especially in our tournaments, where we have so many players teeing off over such a wide spread out amount of time. It's actually something that we're kind of working on right now as the Disc Golf Pro Tour is like considering options. Should ratings matter at the tees? Should we be teeing off with people that were rated similar to? And a lot of people think that we should in order to avoid situations like that. And so shooting 1 under at that course, super frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like you said, it's not that long. That's why it's such a popular course, is because all the shots are hittable by your average Joe disc golfer. There's nothing like extremely championship about it other than the feeling when you're out there on a beautiful piece of land and shaping these just semi long shots, like really average distance shots.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head. I want to talk about the vibe on that card during the second round. I went back and looked at a little bit of the footage, and you had Louis Nava, Justin Bilodeau, and another Justin on your card, Oregon guy. Great vibe, it seemed like, out there. Do you feel like the energy on a card affect, like, how does that affect you, I guess? I mean, assuming it does affect regardless, but do you think that, like, you get extra juiced from that good vibe?
Um, like you say, I try not to really think about it all that much, not let the card really determine how I play. But people like both Justins that we were playing with and Luis, like they were really, really enjoyable to play with because they're not. I don't know. Like I've played some incredible rounds with not like your like normal everyday championship disc golfers.
Yep.
And it seems like I've played some really good rounds with people that are like on the 1,000 area because there's just I don't feel like there's any pressure at all added to me for some reason. And so in that situation, I obviously noticed a little bit difference. Justin Bilodeau's a really good buddy of mine. We always just hit it off every time we play. But both the other guys on the card as well, they were just super encouraging. There was no pressure. We're like we're one under. After the first 18 holes, so just it's no pressure and it was pretty relaxing.
Yeah, it really seemed that way. Obviously you were teeing a little bit earlier in the morning than some of the lead card, and I was out filming interviews. I saw you were absolutely shredding. I ran out there, and it seemed like everyone was just having a Wednesday in the park, like a nice fun round. It didn't seem like, overly stressful or anything like that. I want to go back to maybe a point that was a little stressful. Hole 16, or excuse me, I want to go back even further. Hole 12. You started off your round 11 through 11, birdies straight. Hole 12, very tough par 3, out of the woods off the tee, and then back into the woods by the green. You threw it out of bounds, and you had about a 50-footer to save your par. Do you feel like you felt any extra juice there? I mean, you knew you had birdied every hole, I assume. How much pressure did you feel on yourself to knock that one in to, not put yourself too far back?
I don't think pressure is definitely anything that I was feeling in that moment. I think it was like a feeling of opportunity, a feeling of like, all right, we've already birdied every hole. This really doesn't matter, but if you make it, it's going to be sick.
Yes.
And so it's just that feeling right before you putt it. We're like, all right, this could be massive. If you make this is just ridiculous. And so sometimes when you find that little motivation, you end up just canning it or executing it perfectly. Other times, no. But that time, that putt was extremely difficult. It was like at least 50 feet and through a bunch of trees because there's trees by that basket all around it. And so it was really disappointing to go out of bounds there. But I remember the feeling of opportunity on that putt.
No, I love it. And I want to go to another opportunity, hole 16. I was just referring to it earlier. Very tough hole. You really have two options off the tee. You can play the conservative shot, or you can go full Juke Gibson and try and hit the little strip down there. You played it safe off the tee and went with the H3 V2 second shot, left it a little bit high left, clipped the tree, but it fell down inbounds. You had yourself maybe, I want to say like 70 feet, like outside of circle 2. It was far. Elevated basket. You stepped up and you drilled it. Do you remember that moment? And do you remember what you turned around to me and say?
I do remember that moment, and no, I don't remember what I said to you. I was probably like a little bit starstruck at the moment, just like in awe. But I mean, there's OB behind that basket too, right?
There is. Yeah, it drops off. There's that little path long where you could slide out of bounds. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm glad I hit metal.
Well, I remember that moment very specifically. It was a low point in my filming career, I would admit. You hit the sickest putt, turned around to me. You say, "Did you get that one?"
Oh, okay.
As I was sliding the battery back into my camera. Early on in my filming career, my batteries were an issue. I've since solved that, but I regret missing that so much, dude.
Man, that's awesome, and it is all good. It's all good. That was a really cool moment though, because I'm just trying to keep the disc on the basket. It's elevated, it's real wide at the base, so making sure that it's online is the number one most important thing there. And obviously, I was feeling it, and I gave a little bit extra height just in case, and I hammered it. It was perfect.
Moving on to the par 5, hole 17. This is the last one. The last kind of moment I want to pick your brain about. One of the tougher holes, there was 3 par 5s in years past, right? They knocked 2 of those down to par 4s, which I'm going to reference a little bit later and how impressive the round was. That one they left as a par 5. One, what's your feeling about that hole? Do you think proper par 5, or maybe that's more of like an extremely hard par 4? And then 2, do you remember, you did end up taking the bogey on it, so I don't want that to play bias into your answer, but you almost knocked in the par. Can you walk me through like how you played that hole, or maybe that putt?
Yeah. First of all, I think it's a fair par 5. I think if you're getting there in 2 shots, you did something insane, because there's not really a clear 2-shot opportunity, in my opinion, on that hole. Second thing that comes to mind is both the previous hole 16 and hole 17, were not really like my strong suit of holes. 16 being that straight fairway driver at the end of the shot, that's always been giving me trouble. If it was close enough to be a mid-range, we'd be in way better shape. But since it's a fairway driver, I struggle with that a lot. And hole 8 or 17 is very similar, and you have to lace drivers or fairway drivers really low and straight and online. And that gave me a lot of trouble on that hole. So, I mean, in the moment, I just birdied. I'm thinking, come on, let's blast this up there. Let's make work of this hole. And the good old same old mistakes happened from what I can remember, and I ended up off the fairway and pretty much just struggling to save par. Late in the hole, when I'm faced with the shot that if I get up and down from, I save my par. That was a really crucial shot for me. I was thinking, anything to get, just give me a putt. I'm pretty sure I was outside on the right side of the fairway and had to somehow penetrate through a bunch of stuff. I think I threw a really solid shot. I think it just ended up at like 70 feet or something, when it could have been closer for sure. And then all you can do there is, just because you have the slope behind the basket, you just give it as good of a run as possible. And I did, and I might have caught basket, or I at least flashed it really closely.
Yep, definitely caught chains, hit part of the chains, hit part of the rim, almost, knocking it in. You did come back, though, and birdie the final hole, locking you in at the 15 down, the course record. How do you feel as there's people doing flooring above me? This is our life right now. We're in houses doing these things. How does it sit with you that a round like that might get lost in the great scheme of things? It wasn't on a traditional round coverage production, but it was one of the better rounds shot on tour the entire year. Does that like irk you at all a little bit, or is that just like, so c'est la vie, play another round?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's interesting. I think it kind of shows what kind of person you are whenever you really let that show how it affects you. Because there'd be a lot of people that are like, man, if that was filmed like this or that.
Yep.
And for me, I'm just like, I really truly feel like I'll do it again on film multiple times, to where it's not a problem. I've already forgot about it. I can remember it. It was my highest rated, probably best round I've ever played. Definitely best round I've ever played.
Second highest rated, and we're going to get to that in a second.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
And I think I know what would be higher. But but yeah, like just having shot that, coming back from where I was to chase, maybe even lead card. Like that's insane, dude. That is so cool to me.
Yeah.
That memory is plenty. And yeah, my personality is just like, we're gonna do it again. It's no big deal, and it's gonna be even more impressive.
That's man, that's like that Warriors mentality, dude. I really love that. Second highest rated round though. Jeez Louise, this is chaotic above me.
My dad's place is the same right now.
Is it really?
College apartments, and dude, they rearrange furniture every day, it seems like.
It's insane. Yeah, well, our landlord called yesterday. We're devolving from what we originally started talking about, but our landlord called yesterday, say, hey, we're replacing the entire flooring above you over the next week.
Oh my gosh.
Wonderful.
So anyway,
yeah, I know. People are hammering away above me, but I want to hammer away at this question. 1094 ended up being the final rating. 1095, you said you might know where it was. What do you think it was?
Is it Ledgestone?
It was that same year. So about a month after that, this is in May, in June at Ledgestone, you popped off for a 1095. Do you feel like that like couple of months was the best golf you've played? And did you feel at your peak at that moment? Or, not to say there isn't going to be another one here in a couple months, but it seems like those couple of months you were really feeling it. Do you remember why or any situation?
Was that was Idlewild in the same time span when
Yes.
I won Idlewild? So 100% then.
That was like that May, June, July stretch.
Yeah, I was playing extremely, extremely good in that stretch. It was like probably a month or 2 months long.
Yep, D-Glow as well. Another, obviously great performance.
And then into Europe, I played pretty well. And then right about the European Open, I kind of lost a bit of confidence. And
do you
down.
Like looking back on that now, whatever that is, like 6-8 months past, do you feel like you can hammer down any reason or any, like, was there a moment that you felt like you lost it a little bit? And not to say, you still had great performances. You finished, I think, like 7th at Worlds, which was fantastic. You're on lead card the whole time. Not to say you played poorly, but like you said, you lost a little bit of confidence. Do you feel like there was a moment? Do you feel like looking back, there was a catalyst to that?
I can't think of anything specifically, but I can remember that I felt that way at the European Open, and that was the first time I felt the way. And then is Worlds after European Open?
Yes.
So
couple months or a month
yeah.
or so.
Okay. And then so carrying into Worlds, I felt the same way. Even though I popped off an amazing start at Worlds, I never did anything near and special in my eyes after the Lake Eureka rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so even the whole tournament at Worlds, I'm feeling a little bit a little uneasy, not like my full confidence that I felt at tournaments like Portland that round or Idlewild or D-Glow. Those ones I felt just incredible at. Now I don't know what the difference was. It's just like these little swings that we go in as disc golfers, and I'm kind of like riding the belief that if I just keep going, keep chugging away, keep working hard, then those swings will get longer, more good and less bad.
Sure. No, I totally buy it. I mean, it seems like that seems to be the inherent struggle with disc golf to me, is you can be playing so well and then for no reason whatsoever, the putts aren't falling or the drives are just skipping a little this way and you're off the fairway. What do you do in your mind to recover from that? How do you get your bearings straight?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough, and it depends on day-to-day feelings, but whenever you run into slumps like that, you have to find the joy in the sport. And for me, most of my joy comes from playing good rounds. So it takes practice. It takes finding that zone of comfort, whether you're putting or you're throwing. A lot of that is knowing what are you messing up in right now? What's causing you to not score that well, and identifying that and fixing it. And so those are the ways that I really fix myself during those times. Worlds, like I said, I felt a little bit uneasy, but still I was putting really good. The only thing was I just didn't have a few of those shots mastered as much as I needed to in order to win the tournament.
Okay. Considering we have really laid off the season this year, where's your game at right now? I mean, have you been out there practicing? I just hear you say I didn't have those shots mastered, and my instant thought was, well, shoot, like, do we even have a chance? He even have a chance to master those shots in this situation? Like myself in San Francisco, I can't even really go out and play. I haven't touched a disc since before Waco. Where are you with that?
So I've been in Columbia, Missouri, if you didn't know, and they are luckily still encouraging like outdoor activities and stuff.
Okay.
It's one of the few places. I mean, I'm in Arkansas at the current moment, and they are not like they're calling out groups of 4 and being like, "Hey, you need to go home." But in Missouri, I'm 10 minutes from Harmony Bend's disc golf course, which is one of the courses in the country.
Yes.
That's one of my faves.
Yeah, it's so awesome, and so I'm able to play that course every day, and that's beautiful for me. I can go through the course and throw a ton of flicks actually, and that's probably how I would try to score on the course. But if I want to get better at things that I'm worse at, which would be straight fairway drivers and straight distance drivers, then it's perfect opportunity for me to throw backhand only rounds.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you know, I know just because I'm a little on the inside why you've been spending time in Columbia, Missouri. But would you like to tell the people why you've been spending some time out there?
Yeah, if you guys didn't know, my dad is taking a new job at the University of Missouri, and so he's jumping up from high school football coaching, which he's done for a long time. He's coached college as well, but he's jumping into the SEC now.
Unbelievable. He's correct me if I'm wrong. He's an assistant coach at Mizzou now.
Yeah, his title is the senior assistant to the head coach. So it's a really cool job. Like he's kind of the middleman for things that have to get to the head coach. For example, academics or injuries as well. Like he's the mitigator for that stuff.
Man, that's super cool. One little thing I do want to get you out of here with a chance to say, a lot of people on a lot of disc golfers, and especially right now, are really heavy into the social media stuff, posting a lot of YouTube challenges, all that good stuff. You aren't really in that camp. You don't do a ton of the social media. You don't do a ton of, like YouTube challenges and all that sort of stuff. I mean, A, why? And B, like, is there anything you want to say to let's just start with why. Why aren't you part of that little crew?
Yeah, I have such a weird view on it. I'm just like so almost self-conscious to where I want to be like creative and make my own unique videos because I can do it. But then the other part of me is just like, I don't want to do it if I don't have this nice, unique, creative idea. And I don't want to just like follow along and do, hey, he did this, I'm going to do that.
It's all about being original, right? So I really empathize with that. Is there any way I can talk you into doing some sort of thing, some sort of outreach? Because I know the people would love to see it.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna do Garrett's distance challenge.
Ooh, love that.
Or the mile challenge. I don't really even know the rules yet, but I'm gonna do it.
Cool. Well, last thing before I get you out of here, I know you got stuff you need to do today. Would you like to say anything to the fans? Anybody out there, in YouTube land that's been pulling or maybe looking to hear from you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm always extremely grateful for the support that they do. I've had a bunch of people reach out to legit and pick up some of my H1 V2s. So I'm really thankful for anybody who's trying to support me in that manner. And that's it for the most part. I'm just thankful for people like that are trying to support me during this time.
Again, thank you so much, truthfully, for taking the time. I know this is such a weird, time in everyone's lives. So yeah, I'm just super stoked to be creating content, and thank you, Kev, for taking part in the this first, digital interview.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Cool. Well, that's all I got for this interview, guys. As my earbud falls out of my ear. If you'd like coverage of all things disc golf, though, and so much more content coming
during this quarantine, please subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out a little bit after that interview. Got the home studio all set up and going now, so that means a lot more content coming to you during this quarantine off-season 2.0. I'd like to plug my Patreon, patreon.com/JohnnyDiscGolf. Probably the best way that all you fans and viewers can stay engaged. Other than that, I'd like to thank a few sponsors. OTB, Disc Golf Pins, Jeff Faze of Jeff Faze Designs hooked it up with a few awesome stickers. Love his work. He's been doing a lot of the visual stuff for me. Other than that, thank you to the viewers. I've been doing disc golf for about 3 years full time now, and while this break is putting a lot of question marks on what the future might hold, I'm always confident that I've got a sea of fans and so many people out there across the world rooting me on and just enjoying my content. So, again, thank you so much and can't wait to do more.